along, there we go, as we going along, each of us will be presenting, but there'll be lots of opportunity within that where we'll stop and have time for discussion. So in between that, it's probably a good idea if you mute as we're recording, mute yourselves as we're recording, and as we're presenting. If you want to put something in the chat, you can, or as I say, when we get to those points, we'll just be discussing them anyway. Plenty of opportunity to talk and ask questions as well then. So shall I just pray for us before we start the session? Father, I thank you that you've given us wisdom to know how to manage what we have and to bring glory to your name through how we use what you've given us. We thank you for the blessings of everything that we've received. Now help us to use them in a wise way, to listen attentively to those things that we are unfamiliar with. Help us to understand them, take them into our hearts, and use them as we move forward with our churches. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I'll just pass over to Christine.
And Daniel, I think, first.
And
Yeah,
Daniel, I'm sorry, I got the wrong way around.
Absolutely fine. Hi, everyone. My name is Daniel. I'll just share my screen now. And hopefully that'll all come up with you seamlessly and there won't be any issues. How's that? Good, perfect, that's great. So hi everyone, my name is Daniel. I work with Christine and Jenny. I cover the more western parts of the diocese. I job share with Christine, so we kind of take three deaneries each. And my little contribution to today's presentation will be chatting a little bit about online giving. I'll try to keep to time. There's a lot to cover and I'm really keen that we leave some time for questions at the end. So what will I be covering with you today? Well, first, I want to talk a little bit about what online giving is, what are the services and what are the options, and then very briefly at the end, giving via a QR code, although Christine will tell us a lot more about that, as it kind of fits quite nicely with what she's talking about, which is more to do with contactless in church buildings, and where we might put QR codes up in church buildings. So what is online giving? I guess I'll start by recognizing that fundraising and giving has evolved over the years. And whereas once it might have been primarily reliant on cash in buckets or fairs where people, handed over cash for raffles and things like that, a lot of giving is now happening online and is focusing a lot on what we might call online giving. And to put it simply, online giving is any method of donation that is facilitated by the internet. And this generally means that someone with an internet connected device, so a computer, a laptop, a phone, a tablet, etc., can go on the internet and access an online giving platform. And through that, put in their payment details and make a donation to the charitable object, in this case, a church, a PCC, or a friends group or similar. Often, as we'll see as we go along, this has the option of inviting reoccurring donations. So it doesn't just have to be a one-off donation. Online giving can also facilitate the setup of standing orders or direct debits. I want to give a really practical example here quickly that some of you might be familiar with, you might not. But this last Christmas, the Cornwall Independent Poverty Forum decided that they were going to incorporate online giving as part of their Christmas catalogue. So if I just give that a click here, you'll see that basically what the Christmas catalogue is there's a number of charities that people can donate to. And historically, the way that it's been done is through a paper form. But this year, into their very website, they decided to embed a form of online giving. And this took the form of this little form here, where someone could choose a donation amount. They could then choose which charity they were going to give to, decide whether to gift aid it, and then press next, and that would take them through to a payment screen where they would enter their card details. This, quite simply here, is an example of online giving, and I'm pleased to say that it was really successful. I heard from Paul and Rosie, the team, that they raised a couple of £1,000s through this online giving platform. I guess then, focusing more specifically on churches, the next question we might be asking is, why does my church need online giving? And I think there are many reasons you may choose to have online giving in your church, and this list is by no means exhaustive. A first reason would be that we live in an increasingly cashless society, and this has only been further exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. Official data shows that the number of payments made using notes and coins fell by 35% in 2020. Lots of places, when you went there, had little signs that said, sorry, cash not accepted, contactless only, etc. This means that there are many situations where people have got used to not carrying cash. So whereas there might be a disposition to give to the church, they may genuinely want to give, they may find themselves in a position that they are unable to do so because it doesn't suit their lifestyle and their way of arranging their finances. I guess this leads me to my second point, which is that online giving means that a person can give any time of the day or week, and not just on a Sunday morning or at a time when the church building is open. So for example, if someone visits your church and they don't have a cash on them, or they don't even have a card to use your contactless machine, as you might like to get, they can just remember the name of your church, go home, look you up online, find your online giving, and there place a donation at a time that is convenient to them. Online giving also widens your donation base, as anyone with an internet connection can find your website, your Facebook page, your A Church Near You page, and donate to the life of the church. Perhaps those in your community that have sympathy for the role of the parish, but might not necessarily attend on Sunday mornings, might be inclined to give to the church if they find it online. Or it might also be the case if you have a church with a particular historical significance, mining communities that went to live elsewhere. You might find that people living in America, etc., doing family research might stumble across the parish church where their great-grandfather was married or christened or something like that. And this allows you to collect donations from all over the world, essentially, really. There are many more reasons why you might like to consider online giving. And I guess we could spend the whole hour discussing that. But in essence, I think for me, the most important things is that online giving provides a 24/7 easy avenue for people to contribute to your church. It reduces points of friction that make it difficult for people to donate. And if at a very minimum, above all else, it provides just one more way in which people can donate. And the more ways you have of donating, the better. A multi-stream platform would be perhaps a way of putting it. I used to work at the ONS on the census, and one of the things that we used to say is that there almost was there was an unlimited number of ways that we would want to offer people to fill in the census, because the more options you give people, the more likely they're to do it. So if someone wants to do it on the phone, they can do that. If someone wants to do it online, they can do that. If someone wants to do it by paper, they can do that. If someone wants someone to visit them in their house and do it with them on a screen, they can do that. The more streams we give people to donate, the more likely it is that they will find one that matches with their lifestyle, their way of arranging their finances, and so on. So one of the things that I mentioned right at the beginning is that when it comes to thinking about online giving and contactless and things like that, there are so many options out there. And this can seem really daunting. It can seem like if I go with the wrong one, I'm going to be financially irresponsible because they're going to charge me a high fee. Or how do I know that this one is reputable? What about gift aid and all that? And I guess one of the good things about having the generous giving team here available to you at the diocese is that we can come alongside you, look at your church situation, what you're looking to get out of an online giving platform, and just make some key targeted and specific recommendations as to what might be suitable for you. I think as a general principle, one of the platforms that we kind of recommend as our go-to is one called Give a Little. But particularly because there is a special parish buying rate of 1.95% per transaction. So that's the fee that you pay in order for the donated amount to land in your bank account for the payment processor. And that 1.95% fee is kind of industry beating, essentially. That's a special rate negotiated for churches. Ordinarily, it would be 2.95 and other platforms are higher. One of the good things about Give a Little is that it works on multiple channels and devices. So for example, it will work on tablets, phones, laptops, etc. It also allows the ability of customizing the campaign screen, so the colors that come up when people see it, or the photos, etc. And of course, it also allows the ability to record gift aid information, which is going to be really important if that's something you'd like to claim back. And it facilitates that by automatically collecting the details online. There's no sort of paper form associated to that. Another good thing about Give a Little, which Christine will touch on a little bit later, is that there's a really easy and neat integration between Give a Little and the contactless payment solutions. So a whole load of physical contactless devices will work with Give a Little, meaning you don't have to have multiple accounts and confuse yourself. The one can provide your online giving and your contactless giving, but I'll let sort of Christine tell you a little bit more about that later. So here's an example of a Give a Little donation page. This one belongs to Cambourne Parish Church, St Martin, part of the Cambourne cluster. So at this link, if someone was to click it, they can see some donation amounts, or they can choose their own amount. Say I wanted to be really generous and donate a full £1,000. I would simply click that. At the next page, it's going to ask me for my name, my card number, and my security code. I won't click any of these details or fill them in now as we are recording, and I don't want to accidentally put my card details all over the internet. But what would then happen is someone would click the blue donate button, and just like that, the payment would be taken, and it would be given, after a processing time of a couple of days, it would be deposited in the account of the church. As simple as that. It literally took 3 clicks, putting in the amount I wanted, and then putting in my card details, the card number, the security code, and then we're good to go. For the sake of kind of BBC style impartiality, I think it's also worth saying other options are available. Another option that is often used by charities and churches is one called stewardship. Stewardship has a benefit of it. So there's benefits and minuses to all of these, in that it claims gift aid on your behalf. So you get access to instant gift aid. Which for some people might be a huge plus. One of the downsides of stewardship is that they have a much higher processing fee, which is 3.5%. With another hat on, alongside this work at the diocese, I also work for a charity called Transformation Cornwall. And we found, because we're a very small team, there's only 3 of us on the team, that stewardship works quite well for us as our online giving platform. So here we are. We have our Transformation Cornwall page, and someone can come here and choose to give monthly or give one off. And it's quite simple in terms of the user journey to donating. You put in your amount here, any specific details, continue, and that'll take you again to a very similar looking credit card, debit card page where someone can put in their details, and then the donation will be taken. The final thing I want to mention before I hand over to my colleagues again, or some time for Q&A, is the parish giving scheme. The parish giving scheme, I guess, it loosely falls under the umbrella of what we might call online giving, although the parish giving scheme also operates via paper form and also over the phone. So it's again, that thing I was talking about earlier, of the more ways you give to people to donate, the more likely it is they'll find one that matches their style and their way of working. So what is the parish giving scheme? Well, if you haven't heard of it, the parish giving scheme is a really easy and centralized way of collecting direct debits from regular givers in a way that reduces the administrative burden on the church and the treasurers. So whereas once upon a time you would have had lots of standing orders coming into a bank account, what happens is someone joins the parish giving scheme, and then these are all accumulated centrally at the parish giving scheme, and you just get one payment into the bank account. Another really good thing about the parish giving scheme is that it allows donors to commit to an in principle annual increase to their gift in line with inflation. We've just been hearing the past couple of weeks, inflation is running rampant, energy prices are rising by 54%. And so, of course, someone that might have been giving, £30 5-6 years ago, it's absolutely wonderful. That's so generous. but the buying value of that reduces. What the parish giving scheme does is it allows people to opt in to say, every year, please increase my donation in line with the rate of inflation. And that means that the value stays constant for the church. And another really good thing about the parish giving scheme is that there is no direct charge to parishes for using this service. The cost is covered centrally. Very, very quickly, I just want to show you what a journey might look like for someone that wants to donate through the parish giving scheme. So you would go to the parish giving scheme website, you'd go to parishes, so you'd go to givers, and you'd put setting up your gift or find your parish. I'm going to go to find my parish. I'm then going to type in a postcode here. So I'm going to put TR13LF. That is the Higher Town area of Truro. And it's going to tell me that it's found 21 parishes within 5 miles. If, for example, the one I wanted to donate to was All Saints Higher Town, I could click on it and pledge my gift to Give Now, put in some details here, including my bank details, and then it would set up a reoccurring donation with the optional inflationary increase. Likewise, the parish giving scheme have a phone number that you can advertise, and a giver could ring. They could say, hi, I'd like to set up my regular donation to All Saints Higher Town. And the person over the phone would say, absolutely, let me help you with that. They'd set it up. And from the next month, the first of the month, that would be collected for them. Or as well, there are paper forms, sort of old style paper forms that you can put out in your church, and people can fill that in with their bank details, hand them in, it sets up the direct debit. And what basically happens is all these streams flow to the parish giving scheme, they tally it up, collect the gift aid on your behalf, and then send it to your bank account. It's a much easier way of collecting regular donations, and it has here an element of online giving. Finally, QR codes. I'm going to leave this mainly to Christine. I'll just start off by saying that a QR code is a type of barcode easily scanned by most phone cameras that can be linked to online giving platforms. So you scan it and it will load up a giving page, but I'll leave that with Christine and stop sharing my screen now. So I do apologize if that was a really whistle-stop tour and if that's left you with more questions than answers, but we are, of course, available after this session. This isn't a once and done type of thing.
I think before I carry on with mine, does anyone have any questions or comments on Daniel's section there? Yes, Simon?
Thanks, Christine. Daniel, the transaction rates that you quoted, are there differentials for debit and credit cards?
Yeah, so that's where it's a little bit confusing because give a little if you like. The card processing is done by SumUp, and online, regardless of what people give, it's 1.95% online. So if someone did it via the screen, but on the contactless machines, there is a differential. And I believe, although I might be getting this wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, Christine, it's 1.1% for debit cards, 1.3% for credit cards. And that's for when someone donates on a sort of physical device. But online giving is a flat fee of 1.95%. Not 100% sure why that is, but yeah, that's how it is.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, Margaret?
Yeah, you mentioned it that with stewardship, there's the processing fee, but no monthly fee. So does that mean that Give a Little also has a monthly fee attached to it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. The answer is at the moment, no. As a result of the parish buying special agreement, Give a Little is completely free. The premium version is completely free. That deal is up for renewal at the end of 2022. And then it will be up to, I guess, the sort of parish buying head bods, if you like, to kind of organize what the deal will be going forward. But I would say if you were just a sort of ordinary charity, Give a Little does have a free version anyway, which allows you to raise up to £1,000 a year on there for free. So even if the deal wasn't renewed at the end of 2022, there is still a free tier available.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
No worries. Yes, Rob.
Daniel, hi. We currently, probably 75% of our giving comes through monthly standing orders, which we run ourselves. So I check it off every month. And Rodney, who was at the previous meeting, deals with the gift aid. Now, with the parish giving, you say you collect it on our behalf, but presumably it's paid annually in one lump from the revenue.
No, it's paid on the 10th of each month, so it's paid monthly.
So you get that back monthly rather than waiting a year.
Yeah.
Right.
And there is the benefit that they kind of handle all the HMRC paperwork for you.
Yeah, I mean, that does sound, well, I think Rodney will find that an attractive proposition, so he doesn't have to do it. But if we get one payment, presumably, how would I find out who's dropped out or dropped into the system?
Of course, yeah. So you get like a monthly statement of givers, essentially, which tells you their names. Or someone could opt to be anonymous. So I don't know why they would, but there is a tick box that says "Make my gift anonymous."
Right.
But you do get a sort of monthly statement telling you new joiners, existing joiners, etc., and their level of giving.
Right. I was going to ask the question about at the moment under £20. As a collection, we can claim gift aid on that, but of course, on a platform, they're being asked if they want to gift aid, whatever they give.
Yes, yeah. For online giving, that's definitely the case. So they decide whether to opt into the gift aid. I'll let Christine tell you a little bit more about how it works on Contactless, because on Contactless, there's something called the gift aid small donation scheme, which effectively operates a little bit like cash. And that you can just sort of claim it flat. You don't need to collect the details, but I'll let Christine take that one.
Right.
Carry on if you like. Yeah, no, we will cover that a little bit, but yeah, you can do the
Thank you.
small donations. Okay, if there's no more questions there, I'll carry on with my bit. I've got quite a few slides to share again. Actually, I should have said at the beginning, these slides, we will make them available to you afterwards. So don't feel you have to write everything down that's on the slides. So I'm going to go through these slides quickly, and then there'll be another chance for some more questions. And I'd love to hear if any of you have tried this out already as well. But yeah, so we'll just go through just a moment. Okay, so contactless giving devices is another mechanism, another way of making different ways to give available to people. That's just a funny cartoon just to set us off. Debit cards were unheard of in churches until relatively recently. People wouldn't have dreamt of giving a donation via a debit card or a credit card. So they were used for saving the next hymn, stirring coffee, all those other things. But now we can use our cards to donate. Okay, so what is contactless giving? What do we mean by contactless giving? Well, it's just another mechanism like online giving, like the parish giving scheme, like standing orders. It's another mechanism for giving. And the more mechanisms we have available, the more people will be able to give in a way which is convenient for them. Some people like to give cash, some people like to give a standing order, other people like to use their cards. So it's having more and more options available so that different people can give. Contactless giving enables people to give to your church by tapping a contactless payment device with their debit card or their credit card. So why should we use contactless giving? Well, like Daniel said, we're carrying much less cash these days as more and more transactions are made contactlessly. And especially for the younger generation don't tend to carry cash at all. They use their cards, they use their smartphones for giving money or for paying for things. And even if people carry cash, they tend to carry small amounts. So for example, if somebody who wants to give to the church might put a £1 coin in a collection box, well, if they see a contactless machine there, they might give £5 because they want to give more, but they haven't necessarily got the cash in their pocket to give more. Many contactless machines can be left unattended throughout the week in a church. So it's a good way to have a way for visitors to the church to give as well. And contactless giving is really useful for all sorts of different events. Things like baptisms and weddings. Often people come to them not realizing that they want to give to the church, but actually then they feel they do. And to have a machine there for them to donate by is really helpful. For concerts and big events, it's really useful to be able to take a retiring donation after the concert and to have a device available for people to do that. And obviously for visitors, if your church is a church that attracts lots of visitors, people just passing through, to have a contactless device there in the same way as you might have a collection box for cash, it's really helpful for visitors. And it is likely to bring in new money. It's likely to bring in money that you wouldn't have got by other ways, just because it's a way that some people prefer to give. There's just a little graph there just showing how debit cards have increased over the years and cash has decreased. And we're now at the stage, particularly as Daniel said, exacerbated by COVID, people are using cards more and more. So what options are there for contactless giving? I'm going to show you a few specific ones later, but you can get small handheld devices, little ones, which can be used together with a smartphone or a tablet. I'm sure many of you have seen them. You get them in shops as well, just little things like that. Or you can get larger freestanding devices, which can just stand on a table in the church. Or you can get even bigger ones that have their own stands and look really nice. You often get those in bigger churches and cathedrals and so on. And there's options for using them offline as well, which I'll go into a little bit later. You don't necessarily have to have a good internet connection. And then just a note, parish buying, which I'm sure you're all aware of, which is the Church of England's buying platform. It's best to buy these things through parish buying because the Church of England negotiated several good deals on them, which Daniel was talking about with the Give a Little as well. These good deals have been negotiated, so do buy through parish buying to get the best value for money. So when you go on to parish buying, you'll see all of these will be there and more. So like Daniel was saying, it's a bit overwhelming to start with. You see all these different devices and you think, well, what on earth am I supposed to buy when there's all this available? But I'm going to just look at one or two of these in more detail. You can go on to parish buying and look at all of these, work out exactly what's best for you, and we can help you do that. We can talk you through the different ones and say, actually, we think the good box is best for you. We think the sum up is best for you. But don't be overwhelmed by all these things that are there on parish buying, because we can help you just look into them in a bit more detail. But I'm going to look just at a few options in more detail, some of the ones that we might recommend. So the first one is Sum Up. Now, this is the one that Daniel was talking about, linking with Give a Little. So if you're signing up to Give a Little for your online giving, you can get your Sum Up card reader, which is the one that I showed you a moment ago, and that goes along with it. You only have to set up one account with Sum Up. So it has a donations app, which is the Give a Little app. So you end up with that same screen that Daniel showed you earlier, and it works together with your smartphone or with a tablet. At the moment, the little device is only $14.99, or you can get it for $19.99. The picture at the bottom shows it in its little charging dock, so you can get that for just £20. And yes, Daniel was right, I couldn't quite remember, but the fees are 1.1 for debit cards, 1.3% for credit cards. And these ones, you do have to have internet in your church of some form. So if you've got Wi-Fi, or if you've got a good phone signal in your church, a 4G phone signal, then it will work with that. As it is, it's not recommended for something to leave unattended. It's something you might get out during a Sunday service, during a coffee morning, during an event, because you'd be using it with the phone, with the tablet. So it's not the best one to use if you want to leave it unattended, although there are ways of doing it. You can invest in a stand and various things, but you've got to piece everything together yourself to make it secure. And gift aid is possible with this premium membership that we were talking about with Give a Little. You can online, you can process the gift aid. So that's an advantage of it as well. So that's just a little picture of how it works with SumUp. So you have your tablet, which has the app, or just your smartphone. People will give through the little device, but on the tablet, they can select the amount they want to give. That will all be processed, and then there's a thank you screen at the end. So that's something, but you need to buy the device. So although the device is cheap, you've also got to buy the tablet or the phone, and then you might need to buy a stand and so on. So the cost will add up when you've bought those extra bits and pieces. This is another option. This is called Collecting More. And again, it uses SumUp. So it uses a SumUp reader in it, but it's a really nice all-in-one device. So it's got a nice big screen at the front. The SumUp reader just pops in the top section. It costs £244. That's just a one-off cost to buy the device with the reader in it. This is the one that we often recommend because it is quite a low cost device compared to many of them. It has the same transaction fees as SumUp and Give a Little that we've talked about, and there's no monthly cost, which some devices do have a monthly cost. So it's really good value. Again, it does need internet, so you can use it on your church Wi-Fi, or there's a SIM that it comes with, which connects to lots of different networks, so if you've got a good network in your area, it should be able to pick that up and work from a phone network. It can run off the battery for 6 hours, but if you've got it permanently in your church, then just pop it by a plug socket and it'll work that way. You can see if you open the top on the left-hand picture there, you can see that the little SumUp device is in the top there. So you can just open it. If people want to make large donations, use chip and pin, you can actually pop your card into the device. But if people are just purely doing the contactless, then you would keep that closed. And then on the right-hand side, you can see a security mount. Those are another £80, but for those, you can either bolt the device to the wall or you can bolt it to like a tabletop. So that's good security if you're leaving it unattended in the church. If you don't want to splash out on the £80, they've also got a little slot in them for a Kensington lock. They don't come with a Kensington lock, but you can buy one online for £10, £15. So or somebody might have one knocking around at home, lots of people do. So you can get your Kensington lock and secure it using that. So it's a really good option if you've got a decent internet signal. But if you haven't got a decent internet signal or a decent phone signal in your church, there are other options. There's a couple of different options, but I'm going to look at Goodbox. So they produce these devices which can work completely offline. People can make donations. And then when the treasurer or the church warden goes home, they can connect it to their own Wi-Fi to upload all those transactions. There's a few different options there. I'm going to look at a couple of those now. So the Goodbox Core, again, it's another all-in-one device. They look really nice. You may have seen them in quite a few churches around the diocese have these. They have this lovely touch screen. You can select how much you're going to give and then donate. This is one that's in Laddock Church at the moment. You can add your own pictures and graphics of your church on them so that visitors see what they're giving to. They work offline. It's fairly expensive. It costs £350 to buy, and it does have a monthly service charge as well, which is £17.50. So you need to work out whether that's going to be cost effective or not. The transaction fee is only 1.5%, which is low, but that's through parish buying. If you don't buy it through parish buying, it's much higher than that. And again, you can get a Kensington lock for it to secure it. And it's got 4 hours of battery life if you want to take it out and about to events. But if you've got it in church, it's best to keep it plugged in so you can keep using it. And then the same people, Goodbox, produce this mini. So it's just a very small device that you can see on the left there, handheld, but it's all in one. Again, it works offline and it only costs £118 to get one of those. But then on the right there, you can see the same device, but in a nice stand. So that's quite nice, and you can leave that unattended because you can fit the lock to that as well. So that's a little bit cheaper than getting the Goodbox Core, not quite as attractive, but it's a good cheaper option for the offline option. So what do you need to think about then when you're buying contactless device. Firstly, how does it connect to the internet, and have you got those the right ways in your church for it to connect? Can the device be left unattended? Can you buy the security features so you can leave it unattended? What does it cost? And is there a monthly fee? The monthly fee may be prohibitive for some churches, although I would say that many churches do find that even though the monthly fee sounds quite high on the Good Box, for example, many churches find they're getting so much more money using them that actually it's still worthwhile. Think about what the transaction cost is, and what does the device look like? Is it going to attract people to give that way? So when you're setting up how people are going to give with these contactless devices, it's good to have a giving station in your church, a place where people will come to give. You can see in this picture that they have a lovely table with their contactless device. They're using the SumUp with the tablet. They've got a QR code. So Daniel was talking about QR codes. Now with a QR code, you can use your phone, you can scan the QR code, and that takes you through to your online giving. Now in this case, if they have online giving through SumUp, through Give a Little, then the reader and the QR code are going to work on the same system. So that's really nice. You could also put on your table a collection plate for those who want to give in cash. You could put leaflets for the parish giving scheme, and you could put some leaflets just about generosity, about legacies, about different ways that people can give. So it's really good to have that as a permanent fixture in the church, in an obvious place where worshippers and visitors can easily see it and easily access it. I'm just checking the time. Yeah, we're okay. So I've just got a couple of examples here of, it's good to have instructions with your device. These are just some examples of how to do that. You could just have a piece of paper saying, follow the instructions below to donate, choose your amount, then tap your card when prompted. Just very basic how to donate with your machine. But maybe even better to add something onto that saying, thank you for your gift. In this case, it says, thank you for your gift, which will help to preserve this church for future generations and support the local community. So not just giving instructions, but showing people a little bit about what that gift will do, the impact it will have, how it will support the church, how it will support the community, to encourage people to give in that way. Again, using the QR codes, again, you need the QR code you can print on a poster, you could print it in your service sheet, you could maybe have a little card that people can take away with a QR code on it. Again, this one says donate here to help support our church, but better than that, something like St. Mary's is delighted to be supporting its community by food aid, care and share, and little tackers. If you would like to help us in helping them, scan the QR code to find out more. So again, share something of the impact of people's donations, people's giving. Another good thing with these QR codes is that they are free. You may find some places where QR codes, you have to pay for them, but I would avoid those and go with something like Give a Little. If you set up your online giving through Give a Little, then you can for free just download that QR code. Then that can be printed wherever you like. That might be a way as well, if you think, well, we haven't got internet in our church, so we can't put a SumUp card reader there. We can't afford the Good Box, maybe, we don't want to put that there. But you could have little cards with a QR code on that people could take away, even if there isn't a phone signal in the church, they can take their card away, go home and donate through that QR code when they get home. So that's another way of doing it if you think the contactless device isn't going to work in your church. Or you could put it on a poster and put it somewhere in the churchyard where there's a good phone signal, so that people can donate there and then. This is just another example from St. Agnes Church, where they have a SumUp card reader with a tablet. Unfortunately, the little stand that they've got that in there was a particular promotion, so they're not available. But there's a really nice story. I've put a link there to our website where there's a really nice story about how they've explored contactless giving and developed it. But again, they've got their giving station there. You can see behind the machine, there's a donations box for cash. There's parish giving scheme leaflets on the table. And then you can see the wording of the poster there, which is a really nice wording to encourage people to give through that device. Okay, that's the end there. I didn't say at the beginning, as Daniel said, we job share. We share 3 dioceses each at the western end of the diocese. So I focus on Carmarth South, Powder and Pidar. Those are my 3 deaneries, but we all work together, all 3 of us. We all do pretty much the same thing, but we just kind of try and split geographically when we can. So do contact us. We can talk through any of this with you at any time. So please do contact us if you need to. Right, if there's any questions, we're running a little short on time, but if there's any questions, please ask. Yeah, Rob?
With the good box, I think you said that the treasurer can then download the information.
Yeah.
If we, as we haven't got a Wi-Fi or a phone in our church, presumably I'd have to take that device home with me, would I?
You
to then
do, yeah.
plug in and download. Yeah.
Or take it to somewhere where there's an internet connection anyway. So yeah, it's easier to just take it home, and then on your laptop they have like a portal that you can go into and you can see all the donations there.
Right.
Yeah. Anybody else? Simon?
You said about having QR codes in the church. You'd see that as a viable alternative to having a contactless device?
I wouldn't necessarily say it's an alternative. I mean, it could be if you think that contactless devices just aren't for you, but I would say it's something that would go alongside a contactless device, because you can't give through a QR code with a card. You can only do it with your phone. And for some people, that would be too much. They wouldn't quite get how to do it through their phone. So for those people who want to give through their phone, it's a really good, quick, cheap way of doing it. But I think the contactless device, you would probably get more people using it because it's using a card, which everybody has. So yeah, it's I would say it's an addition, but it could be an alternative if you just think, no, the contactless device is going to be impossible for us, then the QR code would be something to try. The good thing about the QR code is that it is free, so there's no harm in trying it. If you get nothing, well, it doesn't matter because you haven't spent anything. So yeah, it is useful from that point of view.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Margaret?
Yeah, backtracking a little bit, parish giving scheme, is that intended for regular giving, or can it be used for one-off giving?
Yeah, so we've been asking very nicely that they do it for one-off giving, but as it currently stands, you can only do regular giving through the parish giving scheme. Okay, it would be like the ideal solution would be to have a one-stop shop for everything, if you like. But yeah, at the moment it's just regular giving.
Okay,
but they are working on it.
They are working on it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was sitting here thinking, I'm sure it wasn't, but that would be ideal. So yeah.
Yeah, they are working on it. So hopefully soon. Who knows?
I think there is
Heather.
one. Oh, sorry.
Go on, Jenny.
I was just going to. Sorry, Heather. I was just going to say there is one way that some churches have got round that. If it's a one-off donation, that people have gone on as an annual donor. So you can choose to donate monthly, quarterly, or annually. So they've made a large donation as an annual donor, but then after, when it comes up to the next year, one church said that they'd carried on donating after that initial gift, but you could potentially do it that way around, just donate as an annual donor. Sorry, Heather.
Yeah, Heather, welcome.
I was good, thank you. I was here, I hadn't realised my screen wasn't on. I had understood that our good books that we've had for 2 years now, although it's been a year of pain, now it seems to be working, touch wood, now they've got a new version. But the treasurer doesn't take it away from the church. He logs in at home and downloads the information. But that could be because we've got a good signal up there. He doesn't physically go and take it away.
Well,
Can I ask you, is
uh,
that a Wi-Fi signal or a phone signal you're referring to?
It will be a phone signal because we haven't got Wi-Fi.
Oh, right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so the good box can be used online as well. So if you've got either Wi-Fi or a phone signal, it can be used, and it can work in the same way as the other devices and automatically take the donations. But so presumably you've got a phone signal that enables it to do that. But if you didn't have that, you'd need to
we've
take
got
it
a
home.
good. Sorry, we've got a good Wi-Fi signal because
Oh, you've got a good
very
Wi-Fi.
close
Yeah.
to the mast.
So
It's just that Rob asked, does it have to be taken home? And I
yeah,
was saying it depends on how it's
yeah,
set up, but
Yeah.
ours isn't.
absolutely.
He just logs on for online at home
Yeah,
and downloads the information that way. Yeah.
yeah, which
Yeah,
is fine if you've got that signal. Yeah.
I don't know if you
Yeah.
mentioned, Rob, did you say that you don't have phone signal either at your church?
You don't have a phone. I think I'm not sure how good the 4G signal is there.
Okay, because one of the good things about it is that the device can connect to any phone network, so it doesn't matter if it's Vodafone or EE, so long as one of the major providers reaches your building, then you can leave it in situ and you don't have to bother taking it home.
Yeah.
But Christine is right. If you're sort of in a black spot, then periodically someone will have to take it home so that it kind of reconnects to the internet and sorts itself out.
Yeah, so it holds all the information. So if I'm not there on a Sunday or on holiday, that doesn't matter because I could get it 3 weeks later.
The only problem
I need to
with
check
that,
out the 4G signal down there.
the only problem with that is, as some churches have had an issue, if they've left it for a long time, the money wouldn't actually leave the giver's account until you then connected to some Wi-Fi.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So if they then had gone into the reds in between, you would have an issue there. And that has been an issue in some churches. So yeah, that's the only problem. But otherwise it would work fine.
Right, thank you.
Okay, Jenny, shall we pass on to Jenny for the last bit? I'm sorry we haven't left you much time.
No, don't worry. So I don't know if we said at the very start, I probably didn't say it, but some of you will have been told that this is a 1.5 hour session, but for reasons beyond our control, unfortunately, we have to finish it at 3 o'clock today. So I'm just going to do a little bit about, I'm doing a little bit about legacy giving, but I think most of, I just wanted to say for a couple of minutes about an online giving platform called Easyfundraising, because people have sort of asked me about it when I've gone out to various churches. And you may or may not have heard about it. It's a way that charities can raise money by the consumers shopping online, and then retailers will give you money back depending on how much you spend. One thing to say is it's a for-profit company, so they are not a charity in themselves. They raise their money by taking a cut from what they are, what comes back to them from the retailer. And the income is passed on to them before it comes to the charity. And there are pros of that, which is it's free for the consumer and the church to set up. And it's very simple and easy and quick to do that. So you'd think, well, that's a no-brainer. Let's all have it and we'll raise lots of money. I would say I put down as cons, but just things to be aware of, I think, rather than any negative aspects of it. The consumer needs to create an account, and often people don't like to give their details to a third party. So people in your church, if they want to be part of it, they will have to create an account with Easyfundraising in order to do their online shopping and get the benefit. There are also competing charities. So if you just typed in your area, I typed in Saltash, and it came out with 40 charities in Saltash who actually are running with Easyfundraising, which means people's loyalties may be divided about whether to give to your church or whether to give to some other organisation that they're involved in. And also that the time spent on marketing versus the return that you get on it. Now, I've just got an example from St Stephen's Church in Saltash. They've raised about £1,700 from this form of giving, but they have a fundraiser who does this a lot of the time. He's always promoting things that are going on in the church, and certainly Easyfundraising. You can see there on the website, they've got 20 supporters who've raised that amount of money. So obviously people shopping regularly online. And so that does take time. There's another church, St Nicholas and Faith Church, they've in Saltash only raised £500 by this way of doing it, which again, you think, well, that's not a bad amount to be raising for nothing. It hasn't cost them anything to do it. But also there's a little church called Landrake in St Ernie. They also thought, great, £1,700 or £500, we don't mind a bit of that. But in 18 months, they've raised £50. And the amount of time that they've spent on promoting that in the church and the village is quite immense. And so you have to weigh that up. How much time are you going to be spending on it? This is not going to probably be a major source of income, but it is worth sort of looking at. And while I'm on the subject of fundraising, we use Ecclesiastical. If you go on their website, you'll see a lot of information and encouragement and ways. They've just put a new section in there focusing particularly on rural parishes and how to fundraise. And there are lots of good examples of how to bring money into the church, not just by the fairs and fetes that we put on, but by other methods. So please go and give them a look as well. So I'm just going to spend the last 5 minutes on legacy giving. So I'll run through quickly. I'll send you the slides afterwards, but just to let you know, the charity-wide legacy income is worth £3 billion. Just need to let that sink in for a little bit. But what's happened over the last few years is that during the pandemic, charities took a step back from promoting legacies at the same time as will writing reached its peak. In fact, there was an increase of 52% in will writing the week that Boris Johnson was hospitalised compared to the previous week, because people react to what's going on around at the time. And so legacies are actually keeping charities afloat. You imagine taking that £3 billion out of the charity sector, what a huge impact that would be. For the Church of England, they had 4,500 legacies given in 2018 worth £60 million. And that's something that we need to sort of take hold of. And I know as I've gone around, lots of little churches have been kept afloat by a generous donation. But not just keeping afloat, it's enabled them to plan for the future and sort of impact their local community as well. So now it's more important than ever to get a hold of this legacy, as a form of giving and income for our churches, because we want sustained investment. It's vital for the future. So it says, according to the Anglican Giving Survey, Anglicans are 3 times as likely to leave a legacy to charity as they are to their church. And my question to you is why? Why don't people leave a legacy to the church? Why aren't they leaving it? Does anyone just have any sort of like a quick response on that? Why would you leave a legacy to charity and not to your church? If you haven't got any particular thoughts, here are some common objections. I'm not leaving a legacy because lots of different reasons. I didn't know I could, I can't afford to. How will the money be spent? I don't have a will. My family are more important. The church has enough money already. Who has heard anyone say that? I've already done my bit. And part of getting a legacy policy in place in your churches and talking about legacies is being able to overcome some of these objections at the outset. So before you're approached, then you need to be overcoming some of these things with things like information, building up trust, being specific about what the objections are, and really talking about some of these things within the church. I would encourage you, because I really am, I think, running out of time at the moment. So I would encourage you to just to go onto the Anglican Giving website. The Church of England has a legacy website, and there is lots of information on there about it. You can request a church legacy pack, a toolkit, and that is your first step, I think, to talking about legacies in the church. It has to be spoken about in terms of the impact and the need and the benefit. So I would really encourage you to talk about it in terms of the past, the present, and the future. What has happened in the past? How has it benefited churches in the past? And how can you put it into that context in the future? As you see, I have lots of different information on these slides for you, but really I'm afraid my time has gone today. I believe we're nearly at 3 o'clock, and we're going to be able to have to shut down in just a moment. But one of the main things of those objections, that why don't people give to the churches, only 15% of Anglicans have ever been asked to support their church by leaving a legacy. And that's something we can do something about. Hello, Heather. Yes. Do you want to unmute yourself?
Just quickly, that our group of churches have been signed up to Shop and Give for many years, and actually it's quite amazing. I've just quickly looked while you were talking at how much I've donated over quite a number of years just by clicking on that, and 90p every time I do an online shop. People who do a lot of online shopping or buy all their groceries, it's just easy. So Shop and Give is just another one. You were talking about Easyfundraising. We continue to use Shop and Give.
Brilliant. Thanks for coming back on that, Heather, because there are other platforms. There are Shop and Give, and another one of them, and you can see it's that accumulation over time. So it's free to sign up, and it's brilliant. It is brilliant. It's something for nothing. Yeah.
Okay, I think we've probably come to an end there. We need to dash off, but we will send you all those slides as well. And as I said before, do come back to us if you've got any questions. If you can think of anyone else in your church or your area who might like to see the recording of this, let me know as well, and we can send that on to them if that would be helpful. But yeah, it's good to see you all, and I hope that's been helpful for you today.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.